Welcome to the Stay Away Camporee for the Heart of Virginia Council. My name is Scott Sager, and we're going to be talking about backyard campfires. Campfires are a great way to spend time with your family, sing a song, tell a joke, or just relax. You could make s'mores, cook a hot dog. There's a lot of different things that you can enjoy with a campfire on a nice summer night. In this video, we're going to be talking about a few different things that we'll be able to have with our campfire. One, we're going to need our safety equipment that we're going to use, the types of wood that we're going to use on starting our campfire, the starting materials, as well as how to extinguish your flame safely. Always make sure that you stay within accordance of your local government on different burn laws, whether it's the time of year because of a drought or certain municipalities actually have burn laws such as can't burn before 4 p.m. A couple things we're going to have here. First, we have our fire pit in front of us. We want to position our fire pit where we've got a clear area around it for about 10 foot with nothing that's flammable. For this one, it's actually built off of the ground a little bit, so it actually has some airflow underneath. You want to make sure that you're not over top of tree roots. And you also want to make sure that there's no trees behind you that could actually be over top of the flames. So once you have your fire pit and you know that it's in a great spot, we need to talk about how we're going to put our fire out. Always make sure that you have water accessible or sand that you can use to extinguish the flame. If you happen to have a garden hose in close proximity, that will work fine. If not, keep a bucket handy, maybe a shovel. Those would be good things to use. Here with me today, we have Beth, and she's going to be talking about the different types of things we're going to have in our campfire. So Beth, tell me about some of the things we have in front of us. It looks like you might have some tinder in front of you. Explain what tinder is.
Well, it's like the most accessible stuff you can get anywhere. You use it to help you start the fire. You have super small, dry things that can just ignite pretty easily. Like some dryer lint, newspaper, pine needles, and even grass. Okay,
so now that we have our tinder, what else do we need to have our fire go? It looks like you have some more examples.
Yeah, we got some kindling. This is just small twigs, maybe even flowers if you want. If you want to make it pretty, why not?
All right, so we've got our tinder, we've got our kindling. What's next on our stack?
We got small fuel. Small fuel, you got the rule of thumb, make it about the circumference of your thumb. It's really good to help make the structure of your fire nice and burnable.
Okay, and now that we've gotten past the small fuel, what do we got a little bit further down our line?
We got some medium fuel. This is a bit larger, not the easiest to ignite, but it's good for fires to keep it going for longer.
And once we get through the small and medium fuel, what would you say is large fuel?
Big trees.
Anything larger than medium fuel?
Yeah.
Okay, so now that we've talked about the different types of materials we're going to be using in our campfire, we're going to talk about our campfire structure. One of the most common types of structures you're going to have is called the teepee. For the teepee, we start out in the very center using some of our tinder. That's going to be our pine needles, our grass, a little bit of newspaper, a little bit of dryer lint. Around that, we put 3 of the small fuels to build kind of a teepee structure, and then filled in around the outside with our tinder, with our kindling. Once we have that in place, we need to make sure that we leave an opening on one side that we can actually ignite the campfire. You can start a campfire in a couple of different ways. One, using a fire starter, very similar to this. You can use matches. Or if you're feeling ambitious, you could use a flint and steel. If you happen to use a flint and steel, pull a little bit of the tinder out first and put it on a piece of bark and start your tinder on the outside, then move that into your campfire to start it. So let's go ahead and see if we can actually get our campfire to start. And let's see what kind of job we did. While your campfire is going, make sure that you're not poking at it with the stick. Make sure you're not lighting things on fire and pulling it back out of the fire. And above all else, make sure that you never leave a campfire burning. If you leave a fire unattended and something happens to pop and light something around on the ground, such as leaves flying around, things like that, we want to make sure that we can actually put those out pretty quickly. Once you are done with your campfire, make sure that you use your water or sand, whichever you're going to be using, and just drizzle the water over your campfire. Don't pour water over, drizzle it lightly, use a stick and stir the ashes around, drizzle it again, and make sure that the campfire is absolutely cold, meaning no heat coming off of it before you leave the campfire. It's really tempting to go in for the night and go to bed and leave it burning thinking that it's fully extinguished, and it's not. So we want to make sure that this campfire is fully out before we leave it. Again, this is something that we can have a good time with. We can tell stories. We can hang around, just hanging around the fire. Campfire is a great way to have a nice evening in your own backyard.